I am connected to an unlimited source of abundance. I forgive everyone, including myself. My essential nature is perfect and faultless. I nourish my mind, body, and soul. I relax and enjoy life. I am a divinely healthy and fit human being. I choose to feel peaceful. I am realistic and expect miracles. I am an infinite being. The age of my body has no bearing on what I do or who I am. I have the ability to accomplish any task I set my mind to with ease and comfort. I forgive myself, and then I move on. I am ready and willing for miracles to enter my life. I know there is no way to happiness. Happiness is the way. I work at eliminating all my judgments of others. I pay attention to my inner callings and apply my own uniqueness to everything I undertake. It is through selfless action that I experience my own fulfillment. I live in accordance with nature, and therefore never go against the way of things. The usefulness of what is depends upon what is, not what is not. I choose to ignore the seductive lure of acquisition and fame. I am a magnet for success and good fortune. Whatever I need is already here, and it is all for my highest good. I matter, and what I have to offer this world also matters. I release the inclination to make anyone else wrong. I am happy. I am kind. I am perfect. I am safe, and I am loved. I see myself as everything. I love myself as everyone, discovering how things have always been, bringing me into harmony with the way. The place of my origin is stillness, from which all creation originates. Amidst the rush of worldly comings and goings, I observe how all endings become beginnings. I fully trust that others know what is best for them. I act virtuously. I do not need rules to be kind and just. I am moral, profitable, and a genius extraordinaire, regardless of what any transcript or bank statement might say. I resist any brokenness by being flexible and bend when storms appear. In all of nature, no storm can last forever. I come from greatness. I attract greatness. I am greatness. I have the ability to stay poised and centered regardless of what goes before me. As I preserve my original qualities, I can do or govern anything. I live with radical humility. There's a time for being ahead, a time for being behind, a time for being in motion, and a time for being at rest. There is a time for being vigorous and a time for being exhausted. I allow my highest nature to come forward by bringing love to the places where I used to live in hatred. By not claiming greatness, I achieve greatness. I live in a divinely inspired universe. I have nothing to fear. I trust in myself. I give my problems to the great mind of God. I let go of them, confident that the correct answers will come to me when needed. I have the potential to do anything that I want. And getting better and better at this. I can already tell that things are getting better. I know that the universe is abundant. I am loved. I am doing the best that I can. All is well in my world. Life is taking care of me at all times. I am solely responsible for my emotions. My thoughts are only what they should be, loving, kind, and compassionate. I know that I am coming closer into alignment with what I want. I love knowing that I am the creator of my own reality. I love knowing that I can dream big. I like understanding the laws of the universe. Everything is always working out for me. I always have everything I need, every day, in every way. I'm getting better and better. The more I concentrate on what I want rather than what I don't want, the more quickly it comes to me. I am divinely guided and protected at all times. I am a powerful creator. I invite good feelings into my body now. I'm going to live happily ever after. I love myself unconditionally. I'm enjoying the journey because I know where I'm going. I am a powerful creative being, and I create my life with intention. I deserve the best life has to offer. My thoughts are healthy and positive. They help me create the life I want. I am surrounded by joy and love. My mind is clear, calm, happy, healthy, and peaceful. The only thing that can interfere with the good in my life is me. I have the ability to focus. I have the ability to put my thoughts where they feel best. I always do my best, and it's enough for me to know that I'll ask and expect it to be given, and I'll watch for the evidence of it. I love me. I am lovable. I am love. I am choosing to feel good. I've asked, it's lined up, and I'll know it when I see it. I am eternal. I like where I am, and I like where I've been, and am over the moon about where I'm going. What I focus on attracts things that match it. Whatever I want can flow to me. My relationship with my inner being is my strongest partnership. No matter where I am, I have the ability to focus in a way that is pleasing to me. I'm doing well, and it's getting better. Things are always working out for me, and I can take it a little easier. I'm going to turn this over to the universe. I trust that I am figuring this out. I love being the clear example that I am. I love offering my vibration deliberately, and I love watching all the universal factors lining things up. It is my dominant intention to feel the way I want to feel. I want it and I expect it. Feeling better is the manifestation I am reaching for. I am to live happily ever after. I am the only one responsible for how I feel. I'm enjoying the journey because the destination is certain. Right now, I am going to find the best feeling thought that I can. I'm going to reach for more relief, more relief, more relief, and moving closer to what I want. I'm figuring it out. It's getting better. Life has helped me to know that I want that, and I'm looking forward to watching the natural unfolding of it because I've asked for it and it's done. It's all right and all is well. I'm getting there. I know I'm good at what I do. I know that I always figure things out. I know that things work out for me. The happier I am, the better things get. I like knowing that all results I seek are easily achievable. I know it is my destiny to feel good. In source energy in a human body, and I get what I want. I love knowing that joy is simply a choice. I was destined for a life of fulfillment and never-ending joy, where I am constantly changing to something better. In my appreciation, I allow myself to receive wonderful things. I am the creator of my mood, therefore, I am the creator of my day. If I want it, I can attract it. Simple. I love knowing that it doesn't matter what's going on right now, because I can keep telling the new story. I don't know how it's going to come. I just know it's going to come because it always does. On the path, and the path is unfolding. I'm whole. I'm strong and happy, I'm sure, and I'm alive and glad to be. I'm good at what I do, and I'm blessed. I'm tended to. I'm seen, I'm heard, and all is well. Everything is all right. You will fail at some point in your life. Accept it. You will lose. You will embarrass yourself. And you will not succeed at something. There's no doubt about it. Embrace it because it's inevitable. Direction determines destination. Your destination is not determined by hope or wish. It's determined by direction. You know, every time you lose at something, you're one step closer to winning the next time. The difference between successful people and unsuccessful people is that successful people don't give up. Successful people wake up every morning with doubts and fears, but they don't let these setbacks stop. Whether they're losing a race or facing a challenge, they don't give up. The hardest thing in life to learn is how to handle losing. Winning is easy. You win, you're happy, you get a high five, and your friends are happy. But it's your ability to take a loss. Get up the next day, dust yourself off, and keep going. I've experienced every type of loss you can imagine. Seriously, I've been beaten down, and everything that could go wrong has gone wrong for me. But here's the thing, I didn't quit and I didn't fall back. If you're facing a challenge, don't stop. Stay busy, work your plan, and keep doing the things that you know work for you. After you've evaluated yourself and your situation, continue to move forward. Stay busy, stay busy, stay busy. I prayed, and I continued to pray. But I kept failing and failing and failing. It didn't matter because, as the saying goes, if you hang around the barbershop long enough, sooner or later you're going to get a haircut. So you will catch a break, and I did catch a break. If you constantly remind yourself after every defeat, every setback, every time you get knocked down, remember this. If life knocks you down, try to land on your back. Because if you can look up, you can get up. Many people stop believing after failure, but let me share something with you. You will fail your way to success. Yes, even the United States millionaires have faced financial bankruptcy. You will fail your way to success. It doesn't matter how many times you fail. How many times people tell you that you can't do it, or if you don't have a dime in the bank. You will fail your way to success. You cannot change your destination overnight, which means you can't arrive at a 5-year goal tomorrow. However, what you can change today and overnight is your direction. One of the biggest challenges people face is that while everyone wants a better quality of life and greater success, almost all of us get stuck at times. Sometimes something stops us from doing what we are truly capable of, whether it's transforming our health, changing a relationship, improving our finances, or finding happiness and fulfillment at a new level. We get stuck with the belief of how we're not supposed to be, what we're not supposed to do, what people won't accept, or what we're not capable of or what we're not capable. Or maybe we get stuck in an emotional pattern, just being pissed off, frustrated, worried, sad, or overwhelmed. Sometimes we get stuck, not so much in anything specific, but just in some habits of doing things a certain way. What a breakthrough is that moment in time where there's an opening. The opening can come from a conversation, from meeting somebody who inspires you, or from an insight. It can come from watching a movie and being moved emotionally. Just that right moment. It usually comes because something kind of clicked inside of us. Something snapped us and made us look at life through a different filter, in a different way. It's a real breakthrough because you take that little insight, that little distinction, that little moment, or maybe that little or big emotion inside of you that says no more. I'm going to change this. And suddenly you do something to make your life better. You break out of the impossibility of life having to be this way or life controlling you. And you start to take back control of your life. You start to make the shift that creates the quality of life that you really deserve. Everybody experiences extreme stress at some point in their life. I don't care who we are. Something happens outside our control, and it hits our life and knocks us on our tail. It might be health stress or something with your family, economic, career, or emotional. There are so many things it could be, biochemical or environmental situations that have nothing to do with you. Every one of us in our lifetime experiences extreme stress. And these days, because of the economy and the way we've responded to it, the majority of people are experiencing some form of extreme stress, at least according to Pulse. Stress doesn't come from the facts. Stress comes from the meaning that we give the facts. Yes, those things have happened, but the real question is, if we fight what's happened, we've got a problem. Like, from what are we going to do with what's happened in our life? How are we going to take this? How are we going to mold it? How are we going to turn our life around? Because when you come up with a new meaning, you get a new life. So what are we going to do in this session? Well, in this session, we're going to take a look at something from a different perspective. We're going to ask you this question: what is the single force that controls the quality of your life? If there was one gift our Creator has given us, or the universe, whatever you believe, what is it? What is the one power that you have right now? In this moment that can change everything. You have it. I have it. We all have it. It's the one singular individual power that can change anything in our life, regardless of what's happened to us. And I know you know the answer. The answer is the power of choice. The one thing we have in this world is that we can't control the events, but we can choose what to focus on. We can choose what things mean. And we can choose what to do. Those three choices, those three decisions really control our life. It's not so much the conditions of our life that control our destiny as much as the decisions of our life. Try for a second to think about something. Think about your life and just think about, are there a few decisions, if I were to ask you 2 decisions you've made in life, you know that if you had made a different decision, you would have had a totally different life. But you won't be able to do it when you're telling yourself the sky is falling and it's over. Seeing it worse than it is, you'll just give up and won't do it. If you don't tell yourself the truth, if you don't acknowledge that the system isn't working, that you need to change your finances, your job, or reassess, if you don't deal with the truth, the real truth, nothing's going to happen when you fight life in dough. Here is the revised text with corrections made without adding or removing words. I should be a singer or not. If you're a mom with 5 kids, you've got a problem. You fight life and say, you know, the economy should be different. You're going to be stressed. Deal with what is without exaggeration, with total honesty. Deal with the cards you've been dealt. Come up with a vision, find a role model that shows your strategy works, work your tail off, give, keep changing your approach, and you can get where you want to go. Make sense. Unnamed light, and a while. Whatever you have produced came out of you as a result of the kind of person you had become, as a result of your choices, as a result of your consciousness. Now, you have to ask yourself, are you satisfied with what you have produced? Is this what you want? Would you like things to be better than this? Do you believe you deserve better than this? Are you content with this being it? You don't have to do anything else, but are you ready to resign yourself to it? Saying, well, I'm happy. I'm not starving like the people in Calcutta. No. Saying no way, Paul. Are you allowing yourself to get off the hook like that? Or do you believe, somewhere in the back of your mind or in your heart, that there's some other great work for you to do? Is there something else that life has for you? And that's why you're here. How do we handle this fear factor? How do we increase our self-esteem? You have to begin to fortify yourself. How do we do that? I believe you have to begin to consciously monitor your inner conversation and start talking to yourself. Start building yourself up sometimes. The only good things you will hear about yourself are the things you say to yourself. So I'm saying, learn to be your own booster. Start building yourself up. Start encouraging yourself and start saying, I can do this. I can make this happen. It's a natural inclination for us to put ourselves down. We are born with a negative consciousness because we live in a negative world. So we have to work through the challenges of life and learn how to begin to guard our minds against negative programming. Turn off the television. You've got to guard the kinds of things you put in your mind. See, if you don't program your mind will be programmed because human beings are goal-oriented. That's why we die of broken hearts early. That's why we're running through life too early to the grave. Most of us go through life running scared, so we create this in our minds. False evidence appearing real. We make it real in our minds. There's nothing to fear but fear itself. That's the destructive monster. So turn off things that can contribute to your fear. Turn a deaf ear to people who can only talk about how negative things are because they have bought into the consciousness of the world. Listen to things that can empower you, that can enable you to create a new reality for yourself, a new life for yourself. What idea are you sitting on? Write your ideas down. And once you get that idea, take the lead. See, a lot of people get ideas and just walk around with them. Take the lead. It's out in the universe. If you don't take the plunge, I guarantee you someone else will. Go into action, and ladies and gentlemen, you will be surprised how things will come together. You'll be surprised. Now, you're going to have some difficult challenges. I can tell you that now. Be aware of that. Things are not going to work out exactly right every time. They will sometimes, and that's when life is just playing the game with you. But ladies and gentlemen, go into action with your dream and don't avoid where the fights are. Get in the midst of the fight. Get some bruises, get knocked down so you can learn how to fight and hold your position. See, Karaman, and stay away, Amor, Heist. Most people don't get out in the arena of life because they don't want to fight. Most people don't get out there because they don't want to get knocked down. They don't want to be dropped to their knees. But see, you're going to be dropped whether you are on the field or sitting on the sidelines. You're going to be dropped, so at least get dropped with something. Don't get knocked down while you're sitting down. Most people are spectators in life. You don't want to be a spectator. You want to get out in the field where the action is. You will be amazed. After the struggle, there will be a calm period and things will begin to click for you. Come out here with what you've got. You don't have enough money. Don't worry about it. You've got the dream. You've got the idea. You don't have enough resources. Don't worry. You need some help. Don't worry about it. Get out here in the arena and someone will look at you, become inspired and say, "Hey, can I help you?" But if you're sitting up in the bleachers, nobody's going to ask you anything. The will, too, is the greatest power in the world that is concerned with human accomplishment, and no one can in advance determine its limits. The things that we do now would have been, few ages ago, impossibilities. Today, the safe maxim is that all things are possible. The will to do is a force that is strictly practical, yet it is difficult to explain just what it is. It can be compared to electricity because we know it only through its cause and effect. It is a power we can direct, and to just the extent we direct it, do we determine our future. Every time you accomplish any definite act, consciously or unconsciously, you use the principle of the will. You can will to do anything, whether it is right or wrong, and therefore the way you use your will makes a big difference in your life. Every person possesses some will to do. It is the inner energy which controls all conscious acts. What you will to do directs your life forces. All habits, good or bad, are the result of what you will to do. You improve or lower your condition in life by what you will to do. Your will has a connection with all avenues of knowledge, all activities, all accomplishment. You probably know of cases where people have shown wonderful strength under some excitement, similar to the following. The house of a farmer's wife caught on fire. No one was around to help her move anything. She was a frail woman and ordinarily was considered weak. On this occasion, she removed things from the house that it later took 3 men to handle. It was the will, too, that she used to accomplish her task. Genius is but a will to do little things with infinite pains. Little things well done open the door of opportunity for bigger things. The will accomplishes its greater results through activities that grow out of great concentration. In acquiring the power of voluntary attention to such an extent that we can direct it where we will and hold it steadily to its task until our aim is accomplished. When you learn so to use it, your willpower becomes a mighty force. Almost everything can be accomplished through its proper use. It is greater than physical force because it can be used to control not only physical but mental and moral forces. There are very few that possess perfectly developed and balanced willpower, but those who do easily crush out their weak qualities. Study yourself carefully, find out your greatest weakness, and then use your willpower to overcome it. In this way, eradicate your faults one by one until you have built up a strong character and personality. Rules for improvement. A desire arises. Now, think whether this would be good for you. If it is not, use your willpower to kill out the desire. But on the other hand, if it is a righteous desire, summon all your willpower to your aid. Crush all obstacles that confront you and secure possession of the coveted good. Slowness in making decisions is a weakness of willpower. You know you should do something, but you delay doing it through lack of decision. It is easier not to do a certain thing than to do it, but conscience says to do it. The vast majority of persons are failures because of the lack of deciding to do a thing when it should be done. Those who are successful have been quick to grasp opportunities by making a quick decision. This power of will can be used to bring culture, wealth, and health. Some special pointers for the next week. Try to make quicker decisions in your little daily affairs. Set the hour. You wish to get up and rise exactly at the fixed time. Anything that you should accomplish, do on or ahead of time. You want, of course, to give due deliberation to weighty matters. But by making quick decisions on little things, you will acquire the ability to make quick decisions in bigger things. Never procrastinate. Decide quickly, one way or the other, even at the risk of deciding wrong. Practice this for a week or two and notice your improvement. The lack of initiative also keeps many men from succeeding. They have fallen into the way of imitating others in all that they do. Very often we hear the expression, "He seems clever enough, but he lacks initiative." Life for them is one continuous grind. Day after day, they go through the same monotonous round of duties, while those who are getting along are using their initiative to get a greater fullness of life. There is nothing so responsible for poverty as this lack of initiative, this power to think and do for ourselves. You are as good as anyone. You have willpower, and if you use it, you will get your share of the luxuries of life. So use it to claim your own. Don't depend on anyone else to help you. We have to fight our own battles. All the world loves a fighter, while the coward is despised by all. Every person's problems are different. So I can only say analyze your opportunities and conditions, study your natural abilities, form plans for improvement, and then put them into operation. Now, as I said before, don't just say, "I'm going to do so and so." Carry your plan into execution. Don't make an indefinite plan, but a definite one. And then don't give up until your object has been accomplished. Put these suggestions into practice with true earnestness, and you will soon note astonishing results, and your whole life will be completely changed. An excellent motto for one of pure motives is, "Through my willpower, I dare do what I want to." You will find this affirmation has a very strengthening effect. The spirit of perseverance, the spirit of stick-to-itiveness, is the one that wins. Many go just so far and then give up, whereas if they had persevered a little longer, they would have won out. Many have much initiative, but instead of concentrating it into one channel, they diffuse it through several, thereby dissipating it to such an extent that its effect is lost. Develop more determination, which is only the will to do, and when you start out to do something, stick to it until you get results. Of course, before starting anything, you must look ahead and see what the finish leads to. You must select a road that will lead to somewhere rather than nowhere. The journey must be productive of some kind of substantial results. The trouble with so many young men is that they launch enterprises without any end in sight. It is not so much the start as the finish of a journey that counts. Each little move should bring you nearer the goal which you plan to reach before the enterprise began. Lack of perseverance is nothing but the lack of the will to do. It takes the same energy to say, "I will continue," as to say, "I gave up." Just the moment you say the latter, you shut off your dynamo and your determination is gone. Every time you allow your determination to be broken, you weaken it. Don't forget this. Just the instant you notice your determination beginning to weaken, concentrate on it, and by sheer willpower, make it continue on the job. Never try to make a decision when you are not in a calm state of mind. If in a quick temper, you are likely to say things you afterwards regret. In anger, you follow impulse rather than reason. No one can expect to achieve success if he makes decisions when not in full control of his mental forces. Therefore, make it a fixed rule to make decisions only when at your best. If you have a quick temper, you can quickly gain control over it by the simple rule of counting backward. Count backward requires concentration, and you thus quickly regain a calm state. In this way, you can break the temper habit. It will do you a lot of good to think over what you said and thought the last time you were angry. Persevere until you see yourself as others see you. It would do no harm to write the scene out in story form and then sit in judgment of the character that played your part. Special instructions to develop the will to do. This is a form of mental energy, but requires the proper mental attitude to make it manifest. We hear of people having wonderful willpower, which really is wrong. It should be said that they use their willpower, while with many it is a latent force. I want you to realize that no one has a monopoly on willpower. There is plenty for all. What we speak of as willpower is but the gathering together of mental energy. the concentration of power at one point. So, never think of that person as having a stronger will than yours. Each person will be supplied with just that amount of willpower that he demands. You don't have to develop willpower if you constantly make use of all you have, and remember, the way in which you use it determines your fate. For your life is molded to a great extent by the use you make of your will. Unless you make proper use of it, you have neither independence nor firmness. You are unable to control yourself and become a mere machine for others to use. It is more important to learn to use your will than to develop your intellect. The man that has not learned how to use his will rarely decides things for himself, but allows his resolutions to be changed by others. He fluctuates from one opinion to another, and, of course, does not accomplish anything out of the ordinary, while his brother with the trained will take his place among the world's leaders. So many people ask me how to love yourself. How do you love yourself, Louise? I talk about it all the time, so I made a list of how to love yourself. It's even available in poster and postcard form now. Number 1 on the list of how to love yourself is to stop all criticism. Just stop it now and forever. Make a vow to yourself that you will do your very best to stop criticizing yourself first and then others. It will be a lot easier to stop criticizing other people when you stop criticizing yourself. Number 2 is to stop scaring yourself. How often do you terrorize yourself with your own thoughts? You get into absolute terror, and it's only coming from your thoughts. Nobody out there is doing a thing. Sometimes it's an old family pattern, and sometimes it's new. For instance, how many people here are terrified of earthquakes? How often do you create that kind of fear for yourself? We find so many ways to scare ourselves. I'd like you to make a list of your fears and then turn each fear into a positive affirmation. Remember always that you are in charge. One idle thought doesn't make much difference, but thoughts are like drops of water. If you keep dropping water on a table, it eventually forms a puddle. Similarly, our thoughts accumulate. We can drown in a sea of negativity or float on the ocean of life. It's up to us. When we're willing to change our thinking, we can change our experiences. Even if you have a big puddle of negative thoughts, you can move over and create a puddle of mindful positive thoughts. You can always make changes. Turn those fear thoughts into positive affirmations and let them work for you. Consider your last thoughts before going to bed. Are they powerful, healing thoughts or thoughts of worry and poverty? When I speak of poverty thoughts, I don't mean just a lack of money. It can be a negative way of thinking about any part of your life that isn't flowing freely. Do you worry about tomorrow? I usually read something positive before I go to sleep, knowing that when I sleep, I am doing a lot of clearing that prepares me for the next day. I find it very helpful to turn over any problems or questions I may have to my dream. I believe my dreams will help me take care of whatever is going on in my life. I am the only person who can think in my mind, just as you are the only person who can think in your mind. Nobody can force us to think differently. We choose our thoughts, and these form the basis for our self-talk. As I experienced how this process worked in my life, I began to live more of what I was teaching others. I carefully watched my words and thoughts, constantly forgave myself for not being perfect, and allowed myself to be me, rather than struggling to be a superperson who may only be acceptable in others' eyes. When I first began to trust life and see it as a friendly place, my humor became less biting and more genuinely funny. I worked on releasing criticism and judgment of myself and others and stopped telling disaster stories. We are so quick to spread bad news, it's amazing. I stopped reading the newspaper and watching the 11:00 news because they focused mostly on disaster and violence, with very little good news. I realized that most people don't want to hear good news. They love to hear bad news so they have something to complain of. Too many of us recycle negative stories until we believe that there's only bad in the world. For a while, there was a radio station that broadcast only good news, but it went out of business. When I had cancer, I decided to stop gossiping, and to my surprise, I found I had nothing to say to anyone. I became aware that whenever I met a friend, I would immediately share the latest gossip. Eventually, I discovered there were other ways to talk. Although it wasn't an easy habit to break, I realized that if I gossiped about other people, then other people probably gossiped about me, because what we give out, we get back. As I worked more with people, I really began to listen to what they said. I began to hear the words, not just get the general drift. Usually, after 10 minutes with a new client, I could tell exactly why they had a problem because I could hear the words they were using. I understood them by the way they were talking and knew that their words were contributing to their problem. If they were talking negatively, imagine what their self-talk was like. It must be more of the same negative programming, or poverty thinking, as I call it. A little exercise I suggest is to put a tape recorder by your telephone. Every time you make or receive a call, push the record button. When the tape is full on both sides, listen to what you've been saying and how you say it. You will probably be amazed. You will begin to hear the words you use and the inflection of your voice. You will start to become aware of patterns. If you find yourself saying something 3 times or more, write it down because it is a pattern. Some patterns may be positive and supportive, and you may also have some very negative patterns that you repeat over and over again. Regarding the power of the subconscious mind, it makes no judgment. The subconscious mind accepts everything we say and creates according to our beliefs. It always says yes. Our subconscious minds love us enough to give us what we declare. We have a choice. If we choose poverty beliefs and concepts, the subconscious assumes we want them and will continue to give us these things until we are willing to change our thoughts, words, and beliefs for the better. We are never stuck because we can always choose again. There are billions of thoughts to choose from. Our subconscious minds don't know true from false or right from wrong. We don't want to deprecate ourselves in any way. Avoid saying things like, "Oh, stupid old me," because the subconscious mind will pick up this self-talk, and after a while, you will feel that way. If you say it enough times, it will become a belief in your subconscious. The subconscious mind has no sense of humor, and it's important to understand this concept. You cannot make a joke about yourself and think it doesn't mean anything. Even if you're trying to be cute or funny, the subconscious mind accepts it as true. I don't let people make put-down jokes in my workshops. They can be raunchy but not derogatory towards a nationality, gender, or anything else. Don't joke about yourself or make derogatory remarks about yourself because they will not create good experiences for you. Don't belittle others either. The subconscious mind doesn't distinguish between you and others. It hears the words and believes you are talking about yourself. The next time you want to criticize someone, ask why you feel that way about yourself. You only see in others what you see in yourself. Instead of criticizing others, praise them. And within a month, you will see enormous change within yourself. Our words reflect our approach and attitude. Notice how lonely, unhappy, poor, or sick people talk. What words do they use? What have they accepted as the truth for themselves? How do they describe themselves? Their work, their lives, their relationship. What do they look forward to? Be aware of their words, but don't tell strangers that they are ruining their lives by the way they talk. Don't do this to your family and friends either, because the information will not be appreciated. Instead, use this information to begin making connections for yourself and practice it. If you want your life to change, start by changing how you talk. Even on the smallest level, changing the way you talk will change your experiences. If you are a person with an illness who believes it is fatal, and that life is no good because nothing ever works for you, then you can choose to release your negative concept of life. Start affirming that you are lovable and worth healing, and that you attract everything you need on the physical level to contribute to your healing. Know that you are willing to get well, and that it is safe for you to get well. There is a law of thinking, and we are beginning to learn about it. It's like a computer. If you have a gorgeous computer in front of you and don't know what to do with it, it's a piece of junk. But if you learn the language of the computer, miracles happen. That's what the law of thinking is when you learn how it works. Miracles happen. What you think and believe will come true for you. Your thoughts create your life. It's that simple. And when we understand this, we can make enormous changes. You start by doing what we call affirmations, making positive statements about your life deliberately. You might do them in the morning, at noon, at night, or even twice a day. You make this a habit, and as you start to do them, things will begin to change, perhaps on a very small level. I call it getting the green lights in the parking places. While these may not be huge things, it can be very nice when you get 3 green lights in a row when you're in a hurry. Doing an affirmation involves writing it down, writing it on the wall or mirror, or simply saying it. I like people to stand in front of a mirror and do their affirmations because there's something very powerful about looking into your own eyes and accepting yourself, or noticing that you reject yourself when saying something positive. A good way to start is to say in the morning, I love you. I really, really love you, as you look in the mirror. This can be challenging for many people because they focus on what they perceive as their flaws, but starting your day with this affirmation is very powerful. Your DNA is in your dream. Your DNA is in your dream. Stop wasting valuable time, knowing that if we begin to live our lives as if each day were our last, our lives will take on a whole new meaning, take on a whole new expression. Valuing each moment that we're blessed with. I have been working my whole life. What I didn't understand by being determined to chase something, by being committed to it. And what commitment is? Commitment to staying true to what you said you were going to do long after the mood you said it in has left. You see, people think commitment is saying, yes, I'll do it on the days when they feel good. But I've been committed to everything I ever started in my life. And I never stopped. And I never quit. By being committed to everything that I started, I finished it. It built a certain type of spirit and mentality and created a certain type of individual. Now, I couldn't quit even if I wanted to. I couldn't give up even if I wanted to. I couldn't stop even if I wanted to. I had too much equity in my life and everything that I was doing because I understood my existence wasn't just about me. I understood the process was more important than the products. It wasn't about the outcome for me, whether I made it to the NFL or not. It was about falling in love with the process. I was going to fall in love with that process because I understood that falling in love with the process was going to turn me into a machine. The next thing that begins to nurture that hunger is honoring yourself as your word. Don't give your word out lightly. When you throw your word out there and you don't honor it, it makes a statement about you. If you decide to maintain a sense of integrity with yourself, if you speak it, you're going to live it. It's who you are, and you need to be very cautious in how you give your word to others. Most of all with the commitments you make to yourself, because you want your life to reflect your work and honor who you are and what you express. Another challenging area in terms of nurturing and developing that hunger in yourself is learning to become single-minded. Learning how to concentrate, learning how to focus. You'll be surprised by the things you are able to do when you learn how to block things out. When you learn how to keep that eye single. You'll be surprised by the ideas that will come to you, the people you'll be able to attract, and the opportunities you'll be able to see. You begin to see things. I've been there, looking at you in the fencing. I can't believe this is video all this time. Here's a habit that I do. Maybe it might be of some value to you. I get up in the morning and start writing what great ideas I can think of that can improve me and enable me to reach my goal. I just let my mind flow. Sometimes I write 15 or 20 ideas. Some days it's more difficult than others. One idea can change your life. One idea can turn your life around. Deciding that you're going to focus on developing your skills. The guy who was the new owner of a baseball team that was in the basement of the league when he took it over, went to the pitcher and asked, "What is your best throw?" The pitcher said, "Well, I've got a good curveball and a good fastball." The owner asked, "But tell me this, what is your best throw?" The pitcher thought for a moment and said, "I've got a good fastball." The owner said, "That's all I want you to work on," said, "I want you to work on." The owner said, "That's all you to work. Nothing else. Just develop your fastball." The next year, they went to the World Series. Most people don't know where their fastball is. Most people go through life never discovering what their talents are. Most people never develop their talents. They have skills and abilities, but if you don't nurture them and develop them, they will never serve you. Your gifts can take you many places if you develop them. Most of us don't like to do things that come too easy to us. I've always loved talking to people. I decided to take this advice and develop my skills as a speaker, and my gift has developed and taken me many places. You have something that you brought to the universe, and if you decide that your life deserves your developing what you do well and becoming the best at it, mastering yourself, and seeing what you have within you. If you decide to drop your buckets where you are and develop your gifts, I guarantee you'll never be without. I guarantee that your gifts will take you places that will literally amaze you. I guarantee that if you begin to work to develop your gifts, you'll develop a strong sense of happiness. You'll get a larger vision of yourself, because part of beginning to get a larger vision of yourself is having an area where you have a feeling of competence. That people know when they think about this area, that it's something you do, that you eat and sleep and do, that people know it, and you know it. You know that you know this. If you don't know anything else, you know this. Can you tell I know what I'm doing? Hello, you know this. So you've got to work on it. When other folks are having a good time, you've got to have the strength of character to concentrate, to read, to digest information. If you decide in any particular area that you're concerned about to make a conscious, deliberate, determined effort to read one book a month in that area, in 5 years you'll be among the top 5% experts in the world. I read a minimum of 2 books a week. The average American reads only 1 book a year. If you decide that you are going to master a particular area in this era of accelerated change, overwhelming complexity and tremendous competition, as you begin to develop and expand your skills, your talents, and your vision of yourself, you will always be in control of your destiny. We go to school for all these years, and they never really show us the importance of a dream. I look at school and am like, the way school is designed is to prepare you to work for somebody else. I'm not even upset about that, but there's little of you that you get to work with because it's a deep problem. So I said to my son, I gotta ask you a question, and I'm being serious. Do you believe you created yourself? He said. What? I asked again. Do you believe you created yourself? He said. No. I asked, do you believe there's a creator? He said. Of course I do, I said. Don't do the dad then. He said, don't do the dad then. You know who I am, and you know I'm about that life. Don't answer like I'm asking you for real. You owe me nothing. Do you believe that there's something out here that's bigger than you? He said. Of course, I think, I asked. Do you believe as a human being, not in a braggadocious way, but that you are the greatest level of all creation? Yes. Like me, I said. Yes. Like you. Better than a deer. He said. Yes, like you. Better than a deer. He said. Yes. Better than a deer. I asked. Do you believe as a human, you're just here to be in a relationship, have sex and have money and buy stuff? And me, I must. He was like, no, I said. Then why have you never gone after something greater? Why have you spent so much time worrying about a relationship, money, cars, and stuff? If you really believe what you just told me, that as a human, there is something greater, then why aren't you pursuing that? He was like, I don't know, I said. Here's the trick, son. If you get this, you still might not get it all, but I'm just being real with you. I think it's a fabulous place, but I didn't walk in there like it was the mountains that made me go, oh, whoa. It was really when I saw the birds flying that I was like, unbelievable. It wasn't really the room that impressed me. As a matter of fact, the guy was getting on my nerves. When you pay money to go somewhere, they try to do the old personable thing. I might drop a dime on it all. Just give me the keys, and if I have problems when I get to my room, I'll call you. Bye. I'm having a conversation with my son. I say, son, do me a huge favor. Don't go after low-hanging fruit. Here's the deal. If you get to the top of the tree, all the food from the bottom to the top is going to be there. So I don't need you focusing on cars, money, and stuff. You're going to get that. I need you to focus on why you were born in the first place. Why are you here on Earth for this particular time? What are you doing here? Anybody can buy a car. Son, animals get into relationships. Animals have sex and have kids. Son, it's gotta be deeper than that. If you're higher than a human, then why you're here? You've got to do more than what animals do. Then no. So when they talk about dreams and legacy, I'm like, well, don't get. Write this down. Your DNA is in your dream. Your DNA is in your dream. It was funny. I was walking with CJ the other day and we were talking. I promise you, every single time we talk, I don't care when it is or how long we talk, we always talk about the relationship he had with his father. I know the impact it had on his kid, his DNA, his brain, his DNA. That's all he cares about, his son. When we go out, I never see him dressed in a certain way. He never says, hold on, I gotta get the polo shirt. Every time I talk to him, it's the same thing. His DNA, his dream, his kids have formed his life and who he is as a man. Most of y'all are chasing stuff, and you don't realize your dreams are so important because your DNA, who you are as a person, is wrapped up in your dreams. What this world has done to you is take that from you because they know if you know who you are and you get your dream, probably won't work for most of them. You probably won't do most of the dumb stuff. If you knew your dreams and followed them, you'd follow your DNA. Most of you probably remember being on drugs. I've never met a person who knew who they were and was on drugs. We said to have an extraordinary life, you gotta have an extraordinary psychology, right? Extraordinary psychology means you got to live in an extraordinary state. To be in an extraordinary state, you got to condition your nervous system, your body, your physiology, and focus to be at their best. Then to do that, why doesn't everybody do that? It's not because you can't. We all have the ability. It's because of our standards. Think about your own life. I know there have been areas in your life where, at some point in time, you just shifted and raised the standard in your life. Change happened because whatever people have their identity attached to, they live. We live who we believe we are. My journey from here to there was lonely. The reason I was willing to be wrong and admit wrong was so that I could grow and so that I could change. You see, growth is a result of bad habits stopped, wrong priorities changed, and new ways of thinking embraced. It happens only when we question ourselves enough to ask serious questions from others. The people who do not grow are unwilling to ask themselves or others hard questions. They are unwilling to leave what they have known and practiced. They are not willing to be wrong, so they can discover what is right. Therefore, they cling to right and their lives turn out wrong. How sad. We get what we're looking for. We filter out everything else in our life. You're going to get what you're looking for, even if it doesn't exist, even if it's not there. If you're looking for negative setbacks or to be overlooked, you will find it even though it's not supposed to be there. But if you're looking for victory, for winning, for recruits, for people to change your life, for magic moments, you will find them if you're looking for them. I promise you that's true in life. Your brain, when you condition it, knows exactly what to go for. It'll find a way to get there. When you decide what's most important to you, your brain goes after it. Surrendering the need to be right enables us to ask questions that others can answer and add value to us. Surrendering the need to be right is the prerequisite to finding right. I believe that with all my heart. Music, why? My. And here's what I know. I never want to get to the place where I've got it all figured out. I still want to keep learning. I still want to keep growing. And I still want to be a student. I still want to be on a learning curve. And I still want to value people. I still want to walk into my life and say, look, you have something that, if I could just ask the right question, you could impart to me that would help me and allow me to become a better person. My ego is the anesthesia that deadens the pain of stupidity. Pride is the burden of a foolish person. If you're going to do a job, Do it right. I've always been told how average I can be, always been criticized about being average. But I want to tell you something. I stand here before you, before all of these people, not listening to those words, but telling myself every single day to shoot for the stars, to be the best that I can be. Good enough isn't good enough if it can be better, and better isn't good enough if it can be best. Wisdom will come to you in the unlikeliest of sources, a lot of times through failure. When you hit rock bottom, remember this. While you're struggling, rock bottom can also be a great foundation on which to build and on which to grow. I'm not worried that you'll be successful. I'm worried that you won't fail from time to time. The person that gets up off the canvas and keeps growing is the person that will continue to grow their influence. How many of you would love a breakthrough? All right, number one, you gotta have a permeating attitude that you're going to win. You have to have a positive outlook. You gotta be optimistic. You gotta know you're going to win. You gotta right now say, I'm going to win. I don't mean just this contest. I mean, I'm going to win. I'm going to win. My life is going to win. And there's going to be a victorious life here. Because listen to me, the price you pay for losing here is too extreme. You have to carry the burden of failure the rest of your life. You carry that around with you if you fail here. The biggest thing that breaks my heart is you feel the spirit right now. And then, when you get back, these dream stealers run into you and start to steal your dream. And you quit. You give up. You've got to decide, I'm going to win. You've got to decide that. The failure part of carrying failure, you've been exposed to what your life could be. If you fail here, the price is extreme. It's forever. You carry the failure forever. In being honest with you, I meet people oftentimes and they say, I was in WF. You really changed my life for this meeting, but, and they put their heads down. They've been carrying it. They carry it. They see these Facebooks and Instagrams and what we're doing. You gotta know you're going to win. You gotta sell out. Yeah. I'm telling you, you gotta become a sellout. You need to sell out. Oh, you need to get obsessed. You gotta get relentless. You gotta be a road dog. You gotta get intense. That's what you gotta do. There are some dream stealers you need to look out for. These four. I don't want them to happen to you. Ready? Say yes. Music 1. No, Faz. Dream stealer number 1. That'll take you out of here. Lack of confidence or faith. Lack of belief will steal your dream. You gotta know you're going to win. You've got to have some faith. These people sitting around you right now, they're whispering to you, you can do this. I believe it. Just like when you were a little boy or a little girl, they've always believed in you. They've always known you're going to do something special. They always knew you were great. You need to know it. You need to take that God that's sitting there with you and those precious souls that have passed, who have always believed in you, and carry them with you everywhere. They're with you anyway. Acknowledge them. If you don't believe that, honor them, honor God. Honor these people who believed in you with your magnificent life. Honor them. Don't give in to lack of belief or lack of confidence. Don't ever do that again. Don't do it in WFG or out of WF goods. You were made to do something great. You're special. You were made in the image of God. Something awesome is supposed to happen for you. And those of you that have made something awesome happen, something even more awesome is supposed to happen for you. I would say for the last 45 years, we've told psychologists they've been certainly in part to blame for this. You're okay the way you are. That's what we tell young people. Oh, you're okay the way you are. It's like, and there's nothing worse you can tell a young person than that, especially if they're miserable. You know, and lots of them, if they're miserable and aimless, it's like, oh, I'm miserable and aimless, and sometimes I'm suicidal, and I'm nihilistic, and I don't have any direction in my life. It's, well, you're okay the way you are here. And it's like they don't want to hear that. They want to hear, look, you know, and you know this, you're useless. You know nothing. You haven't got started. You've got 60 years to put yourself together, and God only knows what you could become. And that message is so much more. It's so funny because it's such an attack but it's so positive because there's faith in the potential that makes up the person, rather than the miserable actuality that's manifesting itself at the moment. Young people respond extraordinarily well to that because, and you know that if you're a parent and you love your child, your son, or your daughter, what you're trying to foster is the best in them. You want that to manifest itself across the course of their life. You want them to become continually more than they are, see what they could be. And well, I think that's part of the great message of the West. That's the ethical requirement of individual being, in the proper sense, is to constantly know that you're not what you could be, take responsibility for that, and to commit yourself, body and soul, to the attainment of that ideal. So I have this thing that I've been promoting called No Whining Wednesdays. On Wednesday, you cannot whine, complain, or criticize. And people are like, well, what is whining? Whatever you think it is, don't do it. And every time you do it, you have to put a quarter in a jar. If you whine about anything, I can't, I'm tired. By the way, why don't you? What happened? Every one of them will cost you a quarter. Or complaining, why don't you? Why don't you? Why do you always? How kind? I always. They never. You a quarter. Then last week, I had people send me pictures of their jars with quarters. Oh my God. But what they said to me was also wonderful because I was never ever aware of how much whining, complaining, and criticizing I do. Now, I've got mothers doing it with their children. So Wednesday is No Whining Wednesday. We need to practice that. We need to stop whining about what isn't happening, what we don't have, what we can't do, what somebody didn't do. We got to get it clean. In 2014, no whining, no complaining, no criticizing. I struggled with this. The last time I took an English class, I got a fail. My English teacher said I was the weakest writer she had ever met in her entire life. The last time I took a speech class the same year, I got a D- in speech. My speech teacher said, I recommend you never speak in public. You should get a desk job. So that was the beginning of my life. That was my 19-year-old experience. And then I went on, trying to figure it out. I was obedient. I went and got a job in accounting. I was in the collection department for 7 years. Y'all don't know I'm dangerous to accounting. I'm just dangerous. I was in collections, and you know you should never put a broke person in collections. Never, because everybody's reasons sound good to me. I'm funny, but it was real. Not only did I say, girl, don't you worry about paying that. I'm going to take your name off the list. Somebody went to jail because I was inclined to do so. I got fired from 5 different jobs. Then I got pregnant with my son unexpectedly. At 8 months, my son's father went to prison. I had to get on government assistance to have my baby. I was on WIC, Women, Infants, and Children, to feed my child. When my son was 8 months old, I went to the ATM to get $20 out of the bank because I didn't have any diapers for him. In order to get $20, she gave me $11.42. I still can't tell the story without getting emotional because of my story. For 2 days, I had to wrap my son in a towel. But something happened. Stevie. In those 2 days, I was at rock bottom. I was broken. Inglewood, California, my son laying on his back at 8 months. I had a towel over him, and I had my hand on his stomach, saying, don't you worry, Jaylon. Mommy will never be this broke again. I made a decision. I was bankrupt. Every stinking thought I had, I was bankrupt. I was trying to protect my pride. I was bankrupt and trying to be all that in a bag of chips and a bowl of grits. I was falsified. I was bankrupt and trying not to ask anyone for help. I was bankrupt in everything that was holding me and keeping me where I was. I've always talked a good game, but I wasn't doing anything with my gift. All that talk about potential, I was tired of having potential. I wanted to have mine now. I looked at that baby at 8 months and said, I want to transform your life because you didn't ask to come into this chaos as an African American male child in South Central Los Angeles with a single mother whose father is in prison. He had a 66% chance of going to prison himself. Not on my watch. Not on my watch. So if I have to be willing to drastically transform myself so that I can become the woman that I know I can be, that's what I began to do. I was radical. What did you do, Lisa? What did you do to change your life? First, I realized I couldn't grow with people who were struggling like me. That whole, I don't want to leave anybody behind. No, I don't want to stay with y'all. Right, you don't even want to be here. I don't want to be the queen of this block. Yeah. And I became okay with the fact that it doesn't make me any less committed to my community, committed to my culture, committed to my family. The best thing I can do for you is not stay here with you. That's right. Once I got that, I went to places I'd never seen before. I went to conferences where people were talking about money, talking about prosperity. It was like, no hablo español. What are y'all talking about? ROI and PPMs and term agreements and capital fundraising and bottom lines. What is it? I stayed until I learned what they were talking about. I went to the same conference 42 times, and there I raised $532,000 in capital for my company to start my dream. My dream was to transform teen lives. I wanted to teach teens how to fall madly in love with themselves and how to make integrity-based decisions. I got it funded and I started working. That was the beginning of me rescuing myself. I realized that I am my rescue. No one else is my rescuer. As long as you are unable to access the power of the now, every emotional pain that you experience leaves behind a residue of pain that lives on in you. It merges with the pain from the past which was already there and becomes lodged in your mind and body. This, of course, includes the pain you suffered as a child caused by the unconsciousness of the world into which you were born. This accumulated pain is a negative energy field that occupies your body and mind. If you look on it as an invisible entity in its own right, you are getting quite close to the truth. It's the emotional pain body. It has two modes of being, dormant and active. A pain body may be dormant 90% of the time in a deeply unhappy person, though it may be active up to 100% of the time. Some people live almost entirely through their pain body, while others may experience it only in certain situations, such as intimate relationships or situations linked with past loss or abandonment, physical or emotional hurt, and so on. Anything can trigger it, particularly if it resonates with a pain pattern from your past. When it is ready to awaken from its dormant stage, even a thought or an innocent remark made by someone close to you can activate it. Some pain bodies are obnoxious but relatively harmless. For example, like a child who won't stop whining. Others are vicious and destructive monsters, true demons. Some are physically violent, many more are emotionally violent. Some will attack people around you or close to you, while others may attack you. Their host thoughts and feelings you have about your life then become deeply negative and self-destructive. Illnesses and accidents are often created in this way. Some pain bodies drive their hosts to suicide. When you thought you knew a person and then you are suddenly confronted with this alien nasty creature for the first time, you are in for quite a shock. However, it's more important to observe it in yourself than in someone else. Watch out for any sign of unhappiness in yourself, in whatever form it may be, the awakening pain body. This can take the form of irritation, impatience, a somber mood, a desire to hurt, anger, rage, depression, a need to have some drama in your relationship, and so on. Catch it the moment it awakens from its dormant state. The pain body wants to survive just like every other entity in existence, and it can only survive if it gets you to unconsciously identify with it. It can then rise up, take you over, become your you, and live through you. It needs to get its food through you. It will feed on any experience that resonates with its own kind of energy. Anything that creates further pain in whatever form, anger, destructiveness, hatred, grief, emotional drama, violence, and even illness. So the pain body, when it has taken you over, will create a situation in your life that reflects back its own energy frequency for it to feed on. Pain can only feed on pain. Pain cannot feed on joy. It finds it quite indigestible. Once the pain body has taken you over, you want more pain. You become a victim or a perpetrator. You want to inflict pain, or you want to suffer pain, or both. There isn't really much difference between the two. You are not conscious of this, of course, and will vehemently claim that you do not want pain. But look closely, and you will find that your thinking and behavior are designed to keep the pain for yourself and others. If you were truly conscious of it, the pattern would dissolve. For to want more pain is insanity, and nobody is consciously insane. The pain body, which is the dark shadow cast by the ego, is actually afraid of the light of your consciousness. It is afraid of being found out. Its survival depends on your unconscious identification with it, as well as on your unconscious fear of facing the pain that lives in you. But if you don't face it, if you don't bring the light of your consciousness into the pain, you will be forced to relive it again and again. The pain body may seem to you like a dangerous monster that you cannot bear to look at, but I assure you that it is an insubstantial phantom that cannot prevail against the power of your presence. Some spiritual teachings state that all pain is ultimately an illusion. And this is true. The question is it true for you? A mere belief doesn't make it true. Do you want to experience pain for the rest of your life and keep saying that it is an illusion? Does that free you from the pain? What we are concerned with here is how you can realize this truth. That is, make it real in your own experience. So the pain body doesn't want you to observe it directly and see it for what it is. The moment you observe it, feel its energy field within you, and take your attention into it, the identification is broken. A higher dimension of consciousness has come in. I call it presence. You are now the witness or the watcher of the pain body. This means that it cannot use you anymore by pretending to be you, and it can no longer replenish itself through you. You have found your own innermost strength. You have accessed the power of now. What happens to the pain body when we become conscious enough to break our identification with it? Unconsciousness creates it. Consciousness transmutes it into itself. St. Paul expressed this universal principle beautifully. Everything is shown up by being exposed to the light, and whatever is exposed to the light itself becomes light. Just as you cannot fight the darkness, you cannot fight the pain body. Trying to do so would create inner conflict and thus further pain. Watching it is enough. Watching it implies accepting it as part of what is tar. At that moment, the pain body consists of trapped life energy that has slid off from your total energy field and has temporarily become autonomous through the unnatural process of mind identification. It has turned in on itself and become anti-life, like an animal trying to devour its own tail. Why do you think our civilization has become so life-destructive? But even the life-destructive forces are still life energy. When you start to disidentify and become the watcher, the pain body will continue to operate for a while and will try to trick you into identifying with it again. Although you are no longer energizing it through your identification, it has a certain momentum, just like a spinning wheel, that will keep turning for a while, even when it is no longer being propelled. At this stage, it may also create physical aches and pains in different parts of the body, but they won't last. Stay present, stay conscious, be the ever-alert guardian of your inner space. You need to be present enough to be able to watch the pain body directly and feel its energy. It then cannot control your thinking. The moment your thinking is aligned with the energy field of the pain body, you are identified with it and again feeding it with your thoughts. For example, if anger is the predominant energy vibration of the pain body, and you think angry thoughts, dwelling on what someone did to you, or what you are going to do to him or her, then you have become unconscious and the pain body has become you. Where there is anger, there is always pain underneath. Or when a dark mood comes upon you, and you start getting into a negative mind pattern and thinking how dreadful your life is, your thinking has become aligned with the pain body, and you've become unconscious and vulnerable to the pain body's attack. Unconscious, the way that I use the word here, means to be identified with some mental or emotional pattern. It implies a complete absence of the watcher. Sustained conscious attention severs the link between the pain body and your thought processes and brings about the process of transmutation. It is as if the pain becomes fuel for the flame of your consciousness, which then burns more brightly as a result. This is the esoteric meaning of the ancient art of alchemy, the transmutation of base metal into gold, of suffering into consciousness. The split within is healed, and you become whole again. Your responsibility then is not to create further pain. Let me summarize the process. Focus attention on the feeling inside. Know that it is the pain body. Accept that it is there. Don't think about it. Don't let the feeling turn into thinking. Don't judge or analyze. Don't make an identity for yourself out of it. Stay present and continue to be the observer of what is happening inside you. Become aware not only of the emotional pain, but also of the one who observes, the silent watcher. This is the power of the now, the power of your own conscious presence. Then see what happens right now. Let me just say this, if you are able to stay alert and present at that time, and watch whatever you feel within rather than be taken over by it, it affords an opportunity for the most powerful spiritual practice, and a rapid transmutation of all past pain becomes possible.